VLSos here. This is a video lesson for pre-algebra, categorical data. I have a couple of questions here. Favorite sport? How many hours per week playing basketball? We could imagine that these are questions that somebody would ask who's taking a survey. And let's imagine that we have people responding to this question. How many hours per week do they play basketball? We could get some responses like 1 hour, 3, 0, would mean they didn't play any basketball, 8 hours, another response of 2, 5, maybe another 0, and 12 hours a week playing basketball. This kind of information is numerical. These responses are numbers. You would respond with a number because you were asked how many hours, and you answer as a number of hours. This kind of data, information collected through a survey or through measurement, is numerical data. This question here, favorite sport, has answers, but the answers that you would get to a question like this is not going to be numerical. An example of answering this question, somebody might say basketball. In order to produce more data, let's imagine asking more people what their favorite sport was, and we would get some responses. And we would expect some of those responses to be the same or repeated. Asking a fourth person, maybe hockey. And another one, football. Another, volleyball. And maybe another basketball. The number of responses you get is the number of the size of your data set and the number of people that you've asked. When we asked this question and got numerical information, we must have asked 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people. Let's imagine asking the same number of people what their favorite sport was. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and let's put another response. Volleyball. Common questions to ask, but the information that we got from these two different kinds of questions is very different. Numerical data, we could do math with. We could calculate an average. We can do math with these numbers. But when we get responses that are not numbers, we can't do the same kind of mathematics. This kind of information is categorical data. The favorite sport can fall into various categories, basketball being one of them. We can change numerical data and fit it into categories. We can create categorical information from numerical responses. For example, if I made a table of the responses to this question, how many hours per week playing basketball, and then recorded the frequency of the response, my responses could be put into categories. For example, I could create a category that was all the responses of none or 0 hours playing basketball. I'm going to make another category, and I'm going to call it a little bit of basketball per week. And those responses will be for everyone that said 1 to 5 hours a week playing basketball. The last category, I'm going to choose to be a lot. And that would be every response of 6 or more hours of basketball being played a week. Now these are categories. They're not numbers, they're words that describe how much. None, little, lot of basketball. But every response is going to fit into one of these categories. A response of 1 will fit into this middle category of a little, and I'll make a tally there that's not a 1, because I'm going to go to every single number and decide what category it belongs to. The 3 belongs into the little category. 0 is none. 8 is a lot. 2 is a little, 5 is a little, there's another 0, and a 12 is a lot. So I've used the tally technique to keep track of where I was in my data, and I put those numbers into the categories. So now my categories represent how many responses belong to that category. 2 people said they don't play any basketball. 4 people said they play a little bit of basketball. And 2 people said they play a lot of basketball. This category here, a little bit of basketball, is the most common in this data. And we have a special word called mode. Mode is simply a fancy word for which category is most frequent. We'll write the definition here. Most frequent number or category. So we'll point to the category of a little bit. 1 to 5 hours of basketball is this data set's mode. So we can ask a variety of questions and surveys. We can take a variety of measurements. They don't always have to be numerical answers. Sometimes we'll get the best response by getting a categorical response. And we can fit numbers into categories and do math with them.